Hello and welcome back to the Orlando Adventures podcast. I'm your host Russ, and today's episode is the restaurants down International Drive one. I love a restaurant. I love an off-site restaurant, and with that, I've quite often done quite a lot of dining in and around Orlando, but down International Drive. That seems to be kind of like the place that I've gone to an awful lot, and it got me thinking. It got me thinking about things such as where to go and eat in Orlando. And I thought about doing an episode on International Drive itself. And then I kind of started looking into this. And I was like, realistically, I've probably got 2 or 3 episodes out of International Drive alone, because otherwise this episode is going to be horrendously long. Like, International Drive is such a big area, and such a, I would argue, a hub to Orlando and Orlando trips. And I appreciate a lot of people stay on site at Disney, stay on site at Universal, so you might not even see International Drive. So let's be honest, this episode might not be for you. But for people who are opting to stay off site or stay on site but have a car, going to somewhere like International Drive gives you so many options. And it gives you so many options with regards to fast food, to just standard like snacks and eats and sweet treats, but also like nice dinners. But then they've got more kind of upmarket dinners, and then there's all sorts of kind of cuisines around as well. There's an awful lot down International Drive, and that's why I wanted to make this episode. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to go for a top 10, I'm not going to go for anything like that. I am going to literally start us at the bottom of International Drive, so the south of International Drive, where it meets, I think it's like World Center Drive. So World Center Drive is at the south of International Drive. So we are going to head north up International Drive, and wherever we come to a restaurant, I've got a little map up, and wherever we come to a restaurant, I'm going to click on it. I'm going to tell you what it is, might tell you what the cuisine is if I can remember to do so. And I've got a little guide that tells me kind of like how expensive it'll be as well. So if I can give you a guide on how much stuff will be, then I will. It's all in dollars. And inevitably, I'm going to say pounds about 1,000 times throughout this episode. So I'm sorry if I did. So what I will do, because not everything's going to be directly next to International Drive, you might have to like walk 30 seconds. I will do everything that I deem to be close enough to International Drive to warrant it being called an International Drive restaurant. Sound good? Let's go for it. So the first restaurant which I've come across is called China Spring. So that is a Chinese restaurant, funnily enough, and they reckon that is between $10 to $20 per person per meal. There is a place called Nine Spices Hot Pot. Doesn't say the cuisine, I'm going to be honest with you, but that says $30 to $50 per person. Then we've got a restaurant called Cucanan Restaurant. It's a Venezuelan restaurant, which is $20 to $30 per head. And then there is Tokyo Sushi and Grill, which is obviously a Japanese sushi restaurant, and they reckon that is between 10 to 20. I have never been to any of these, so just like a lot of these I haven't been to. If I have been to them, I'm going to talk more about it because I obviously know a bit more about it. So that is the first 4 restaurants that we come across at the bottom of International Drive. The next stuff we get to, next restaurant, Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen. If you haven't been to Popeyes, go to Popeyes. It genuinely, and I'll get to this a bit more later on, but I love a KFC in the UK. I love it. Love a bit of fried chicken. But KFC in America, or at least Orlando, does not even hold up. It doesn't hold a candle to Popeyes. Popeyes is next level. I would say Popeyes is just so much better. It's crispier. It's more flavoursome. The value for money's decent. This reckons $10 to $20 per person per head, which is about right. I mean, $20 per person sounds fairly ludicrous at a fast food restaurant, but I can understand it because we're in Orlando. We're going to get everything we can possibly get our hands on, so it's fair enough. But yeah, Popeyes is the next one. Then we are heading up to a place called Benihana, and I've heard of Benihana. I've never been there, but this is a Japanese restaurant and slightly more expensive. I think generally this seems to be a more expensive eat. This is about $30 to $50 per head. But you know, if you're into like Japanese cuisine, then absolutely. I've heard really good reviews about this. And to be fair, I've got like star reviews up as well. If I see something's really good, I'll tell you. And out of 5, this has got a 4.4 star rating on Google. Funnily enough, with over 10,000 people have left a review. So it's a pretty well regarded place. So Benihana could be an absolute shout for anyone looking to go and get some Japanese cuisine. Next up is a place called Breeze Bar and Grill. That is $10 to $20 per person. It's a grill. Not a lot else to be said other than that, to be honest with you. Continuing north up International Drive, then we've got a little clump of restaurants here, so I'm going to reel a few out at you. We've got a place called First Watch, which is a breakfast restaurant, $10 to $20 per person per head. We've got a place called U-Turn Korean Barbecue. Seems to be a little bit more expensive, $30 to $50. There is a Domino's Pizza. We all know about a Domino's Pizza, and to be fair, I'm not sure I've ever got a Domino's in Orlando. I'm not sure. I've had a Pizza Hut a few times, but I've never gone to Domino's and like got a takeaway. Never done it. Maybe it's something for the list. It's one of those, like, sometimes it just never comes around. It never comes the opportunity to do it. So Domino's, I'll be intrigued. I like a Domino's in the UK, like most people do, and it'd be interesting to see what it's like in Orlando as well. We've got next restaurant is a place called Merguez Restaurant. Probably butchered the pronunciation of that. Doesn't say what it is, so that's really helpful. And then the next one is El Toque Food Truck International Drive, which is a Venezuelan food truck style dining establishment. 10 to 20. Food looks decent, actually, to be fair. 4.7 stars rating. Next up, we have got IHOP. As many of you will know, IHOP is an absolute staple. And I think of IHOP, I think of staying down International Drive, heading out early in the morning, like 7:30, getting to IHOP, having like a fairly cheap but massive breakfast, and then heading up International Drive over to Universal Studios. That is like a classic morning for me in Orlando. I love it. I love a bit of IHOP. It's what I will say, and it's the same with a lot of these breakfast places in Orlando. I love IHOP. Don't get me wrong. I like it for breakfast, but personally, I probably wouldn't go there for dinner. I have gone there for dinner, but it wouldn't be something I would lean towards. And the reason why is there's so many options for food in and around Orlando that, to me, IHOP feels like a bit of a waste for a dinner. Come at me, because if I'm wrong on this, like, then please do tell me. But I think that there's so many better restaurants to go to for an evening meal that IHOP maybe isn't the one. But at the same time, for a breakfast, I love it. Absolutely think it's spot on. Next door, if you just had a hard day of saving New York City, then you can go to El Genio del Shawarma. If anyone gets that reference, then legend. But yeah, this looks like a fairly standard kind of shawarma restaurant, $10 to $20 per person per head. Next to that, we've got a Dunkin' Donuts. I'm gonna put my neck on the line here. Love a Starbucks. I love a Joffrey's. I think Dunkin' is some of the best coffee out there. I rate it. I think Dunkin's coffee is the one, and obviously the donuts. I mean, like, no brainer, isn't it? Next door to that, we've got a place called De Silva Steakhouse. That is slightly more expensive, but good ratings again. Then there is a Nagoya Sushi and Hibachi. I have probably absolutely ruined that. But that's a Japanese sushi restaurant, which looks very nice, to be honest with you. Heading further up, we've got a place called Sicky's Garage Burgers and Brews, which I'm pretty sure is what it says on the tin. If you're looking for kind of American burgers, ideal, get some beers in, $10 to $20 per person per head. Heading further up International, we'll get to a point, we'll hit like the bulk of International Drive. We're way down at the moment, way down the bottom of International Drive. And I'm driving us up there. And next one we're going to come across, and I've never been to this place, but the reviews are really good, and I've heard some really good recommendations for it. is a place called Moe's Southwest Grill, which is a Mexican restaurant. Apparently a little bit more expensive. I think you'd expect to spend probably $20 per person per head at least. But yeah, ratings are very good. I know a lot of people have said good stuff about Moe's, but having never been, I couldn't tell you. Next to that, you got a place called Cafe Pinton, which is an Ecuadorian place. Don't know a lot about it. Flipper's Pizza, next to that, pizza establishment, $10 to $20 per head. And next to that, just to make it really difficult for me to try and pronounce this, is Aguardiente Colombian Steakhouse. Sorry. Sorry. It looks good. Looks good, actually. Ratings are good. 4.8 stars with 11,000 reviews. Might be a shout. It does look a little bit more expensive. Seems to be at least $50 per person per head. So if you're looking for a steakhouse, but looking for something a little bit more kind of upmarket, that could be an absolute shout. And next to that, while we're kind of on like steaks and stuff like that, is an Applebee's. I fell out of love with Applebee's many years ago. I'm gonna be real. I rarely have had a bad experience in Orlando ever. And I just remember going to Applebee's once, and the server was probably just having a bad day. And honestly, she was the most miserable person I think I've ever met. And like the food was just like so poor. It was such poor quality. And I've been to Applebee's a couple of times, don't get me wrong. And like I have been before and it's been fine. But that one time I went, like, unfortunately, it sticks in my memory. And the problem is, it's nearly like 10 years ago. But maybe I need to give it another chance. Maybe I do, because like I love the look of the menu. Like that's like classic what I would go for in Orlando. Absolutely. Opposite side of the road to that, you have got Denny's. Very similar to IHOP. Very similar. Again, for me, breakfast spot on. I have gone there for dinner. I've gone there a couple of times. It's fine. That's all I can say. It's good value for money. It's nice food. It's kind of like hearty food. But I'd go somewhere else. I like that. That would be my, if I were to give you a recommendation, I would save Denny's or IHOP for breakfast. Then you've got a place called Tani Thai restaurant, which apparently is $20 to $30 per person. Then you've got Best Shabu Shabu, which is a noodle bar by the looks of it. And then next to that, you have got another sushi restaurant called Oishi Japanese Sushi and Hibachi Restaurant. So, yeah, got a few more Japanese inspired eats at this point of International Drive. Heading further up International Drive, then you have got TGI Fridays. I've gone to TGI's a few times. I used to love a TGI's in the UK. I don't know where everyone else kind of stands on this. I used to love a TGI's because it was a taste of America as much as anything. I obviously love going to Orlando and Florida, and being at home having a TGI's kind of gave me a bit of that. It gave me a bit of kind of like, as if I was going to a Chili's a little bit. And I used to love a TGI's, and it kind of went downhill in the UK. But I will say, I'm pretty sure I've been to a TGI's every trip I've ever been on, which is bizarre because I think it's all right. And that's it. Like, yeah, I don't know where everyone else kind of stands on it. Like, does everyone rate it? Does everyone not rate it? I don't know. I think TGI's and Applebee's, maybe, are they similar? Maybe. Heading further up, we've got a place called Buffalo Wild Wings. One thing I'll say about Buffalo Wild Wings, the chicken tenders are the best. Everyone else might not agree with me on that. I don't know. But I personally think chicken tenders at Buffalo Wild Wings, top tier. If you're into wings, Buffalo Wild Wings, 10 to 20, good ratings, as we'd expect. Next to that, it's a place called Panera Bread. I've never had a Panera Bread. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to click on it. Is Panera Bread a bit like a Subway? It definitely serves sandwiches. I'm looking at images. There are sandwiches. There's lots of sandwiches. There's a picture of Mako. I don't think they serve Mako. It serves sandwiches, and that is all I know. But the ratings are good. Heading further up, you've got a place called Mellow Mushroom Orlando, which seems to be a pizzeria. Yeah, fairly standard stuff. Firehouse Subs next to that, and then a Starbucks as well. We are pretty much opposite SeaWorld at this point, so you'll see we are still fairly far down International Drive, and I'm heading up north. And the next one I get to is a place called Cheddar's. I've never been to Cheddar's. I know a lot of you rave about Cheddar's. I know a lot of you say that Cheddar's is like top tier. Good ratings again. Cheddar's. just north of kind of SeaWorld kind of area on International Drive, if you're up for it. Next door to that is a place called Delmonico's Italian Steakhouse. This is a little bit more expensive again. This is kind of like looking at $50 per person per head. Heading further up, we've got another IHOP. And the first one of these that we're going to come across is a McDonald's. This is the first one. And I'm gonna say it. I think McDonald's in America is expensive. It, like, honestly, it blows my mind a little bit. And I don't know whether or not it's just because the ones I've been to generally have been on International Drive, but they seem to be so expensive. Like, maybe they're just tapping into the tourism, like, and they're going, you know what, people are going to go to McDonald's because it's McDonald's, and they just kind of ramp the prices up. I know that their menus they're wild, and I'll get into that on the next one. But yeah, I don't know. For me, McDonald's in America it's good. It's fairly similar to what it is in the UK, if I'm absolutely honest with you, although there's a few more options on the menu. But I think it's a little expensive, in my opinion. Heading further up, we've got Dunkin'. Then next to that, we've got a place called Red Lobster. If you're into your seafood, I think Red Lobster is going to be a good place to go. That is got good ratings. It does seem to be slightly more expensive. I think you'd expect to spend at least $40 per person per head by the looks of it. We've got another Denny's. Again, for me, breakfasts, maybe not dinners. Personally, we're going to get into the bulk. We're going to get into the bulk in a minute. I'm driving us up. I'm literally, like, if anyone's watching this, you can see that I'm basically like scrolling my phone up and I'm walking up the road, essentially, up International Drive. My phone's like, nope, we're not having this. Next up, then, we've got a place called the Oceanair Seafood, the Oceanair Seafood Room. This is a fine dining place. This is a fine dining upscale choice for seafood and steaks. People are saying expect to spend maybe $100 per person. Damn. Fair enough. Yeah, you got a place called Cuba Libre Restaurant and Rum Bar, which is a Cuban place. Reviews look good. Says it's a little bit pricey. Doesn't tell me exactly what. Cavos Tacos and Tequila. Then you've got JoJo's Shake Bar, which just looks like it serves those as shakes. It looks really good fun, actually. And then next to that, you got a place called Rodizio Grill Brazilian Steakhouse, which is kind of like an all-you-can-eat. I don't know. It looks like it's slightly more expensive. This looks like $50 to $100 per person per head. I think this is one of these kind of like Brazilian restaurants where they bring around all the meat kind of like on the skewers, and then you kind of like have your little card that you turn over. I've never done one. Always wanted to do one. Yeah, that looks like one of those kind of places. So you can basically kind of do an all you can eat, get the meat sweats, and then head on out to do Dr. Doom in the evening. Opposite side of the road, you've got a place called Del Frisco's Double Eagle Steakhouse. Again, this looks to be quite expensive, but it's like a proper American steakhouse by the looks of it. Next to that, the first one of these on International Drive we've come across is Pizza Hut. I rate a Pizza Hut. I've done Pizza Hut a few times, to be fair, and the pizzas, like, I will say, I think the pizzas in America are way better than they are in the UK. So I rate a Pizza Hut. Like, sometimes you just want like a quick, easy dinner. You've had like a long old day in the parks, and you just want to go and like just eat some in a long day in the parks, eating fast food, and just want to